Welcome, glad you're here. I'm Jen Lepore, Marketing Team Coordinator here at Custom Processing Services, and today we're celebrating a huge milestone, CPS's 25th anniversary, and I'm pleased to be joined by our co-founders and leadership team members, President Gregg Shemanski and Vice President Jeff Klinger. So welcome both of you. So 25 years is an incredible achievement. And before we dive into history, how does it feel to reach this point and look back on everything CPS has become? Gregg, let's start with you.
It's a little different when you grow up with it right from the beginning. You see it progress every day. So by the time 25 years comes around, going from 2 to 177 people, it doesn't seem so big as when others come in that knew us in the past and are amazed at what has gone on. And that actually is the point where I feel more, wow, we really have done something here. We've taken something from an idea and put it into one heck of a family sustaining local business that's global and impactful on everything that goes on in the food, pharma, minerals industries. And it makes me smile when they say something like that.
And what about you, Jeff?
Yeah, geez. Is it really 25 years already? So, I mean, for me, when Gregg and I decided to start Custom Processing Services, we had this broad and grand idea. We knew we wanted to get into not just jet milling, but we wanted to be in business. We wanted to, touch a lot of different industries. So, in the very beginning, we had all these aspirations. And it's really interesting to me that you just put your head down and you go to work. And 25 years later, you say to yourself, my goodness, look at what we've built. And, when you're in it every day, you just don't really take time to reflect on, what we've been able to accomplish in the community for the people. Watching others grow in our organization is extremely satisfying. And for me, it's just a rapid pace of how you've gone from 2 people to 170 or however many we have right now. It's really interesting to sit back and reflect everything that has transpired.
So from the very beginning, the concept of custom processing was central to the company's identity. Why was that the focus? Why was it that focus on so important from day one?
We did a lot of planning as to what would be a most successful type of business, and owning and processing materials didn't work out so well because it took a lot of speculation. However, we had a lot of technical capabilities that we could take someone else's goods, process them for them, and send them back to them. So we actually went through some tiger sessions with the Ben Franklin Technology Partnership people before we opened our doors. And they made us really think about what our focus is going to be and what's going to give us our biggest return. And that was custom processing. They also said, you better name your company on what you do, hence Custom Processing Services.
And what about you, Jeff?
Well, I think that, our identity is, we wanted to be special in the marketplace. When we decided to create our identity as Custom Processing Services, we didn't want to specialize it to one particular service entry. We wanted to grow, even though we were going to, focus on, say, jet milling initially. We knew that our identity wanted to be custom processing. So we'll take our customers' raw materials, we'll process them into any form that helps them advance their new product development. So, I think our identity was we're going to be a custom resource to process your materials into the form, the shape, the size, the mixture that would meet our customers' requirements for their new product development and get it to commercialized state. So that's what our identity came out to be, and it's worked for us so far.
It certainly has. So let's go back to the early days here. Let's rewind to when CPS was just getting started. And this is actually kind of my favorite thing to talk and to hear you guys talk about to, our customers and the backstory of this. So what do you guys remember about the first few months?
I remember, and it's still in my head, that my wife turned to me and said, "You better know what you're doing before you start this whole thing out." And Jeff and I spent quite a bit of time putting a plan together. And that was really important. That was the roadmap for what we needed to follow. Now, following it, we're both very stubborn people and very determined people to say that, okay, we're going to achieve this plan. And we worked many, many hours installing the equipment, making sure it worked right, turning it on, and met our challenges too in those first few months. One of the brand new pieces of starters that we put in, a very high voltage unit, blew up on the first startup, and
Wow.
but we thought ahead, and we always had a spare, and we put that in, but. It was a factory defect. Nothing we did wrong, but we just push forward, keep putting out the best efforts that we can, and moving forward, making the first products. And seeing them come off the machine the way we thought they would, and even better, that was just edifying. So it was, and then from there, we just kept doing it for more and more individuals.
And Jeff, isn't it true that you slept in a trailer for the first few months?
Well, I think it was more than 2 months, but yes, living an hour away, right? So, like Greg said, we work a lot of hours, and I thought, well, I may as well. We had a 27-foot travel trailer, moved it into the back of the parking lot, and yeah, I mean, I slept there for 3 hours or whatever it was, and we went right back to work and assembling the plant. I mean, that to me, in the very early months, I mean, the assembly of the plant. Greg and I just put our heads down. I mean, we installed the equipment. We had to open up the siding of the building just to get dust collector parts in, just to get mill parts in. We had to run all the piping. We had to run the piping for the cooling lines, 3-inch copper lines, sanding and soldering. And, next thing you know, our hands were raw. I mean, I like to tell the story that, Greg and I'd be working and we wouldn't say a whole lot to each other. We knew what we had to do, but if I needed Greg for something, all I had to do was follow the blood trail to find him, because we worked our knuckles to the bone, and it's true. I mean, where'd Greg go? I just follow the bloodline on the floor. So now those are some of the funny stories. But like Greg said, I mean, the equipment worked better than we had anticipated during those first couple months. So much so that the processing, the efficiency coming off the equipment was a little difficult for us to package, say, into bags initially. So we had to change some of our packaging strategies to handle the volume, the throughput rate that was coming out of the equipment in order just to get it in a bag efficiently. We also had an opportunity to process some dyes, which we didn't want to coat with our beautiful new equipment. So we set up a really smaller mill, and we were able to process some dyes early on just to get some cash flow going. I mean, there's all kinds of stories that we could tell in those early months, but it was a lot of fun. And now that I reflect back on some of those early days, it's amazing how far we've come.
Yeah, I don't remember sleeping, Jeff, like you said.
No, I didn't sleep much. That's the way it was.
So, what type of challenges did you guys face early on?
Well, that one challenge I just told you about was some machines exploding. Another one was Jeff and I did a lot of the work installing a lot of the pieces of equipment ourselves. I mean, I ran the crane. Jeff was doing soldering, and he was rigging, swinging in the air safely. But even looking at bringing power in, we had to do some underground stuff. We rented backhoes and dug our own ditches and laid our own pipe. There was two things we would not do. One was work with high voltage, the 13,000 volts that we have here. We brought other people in, and an excellent job that did. And another one was a very large piece of a tank that we were putting in, and we brought another outfit in to handle that, and they dropped it. all the work Jeff and I were doing, we did without breaking anything or messing anything up. But they had dropped it. We had to send that tank back to Texas to get re-welded and recertified, and that was only one tank that we had. So that was a challenge on starting on a time we wanted to. But there were many more little things. But it was pretty cool to see that Jeff and I's work panned out and held tight to this day.
And what about you, Jeff? What do you think? What are some challenges that you guys faced in the beginning that maybe Gregg didn't mention?
One of them, I'll have to remind Gregg, we put our equipment together and we're processing customers' materials, and we had an open house, right? We had a grand opening where we invited, all of our key vendors and some customers and, bankers and so on. And so we're processed. We only processed at night because electric was a lot cheaper than it was during the day. So we're processing in the middle of the night, and I think we were supposed to have our event around noontime, and we had a process upset. And it's just one of those things that happened, and material was all over the place. It was a mess. I mean, it's like we haven't had this upset before, and so we had to really scramble in order to get that place ready to go for our open house. And from that upset, it was a challenge. We learned some things. Again, it was the material coming out of the processing equipment faster than initially had anticipated, and so this created some challenges, which is a good problem to have, right? You're being really efficient. So, but that was one of the early challenges that we had faced that I remember pretty clearly.
So, on the flip side, let's talk about some early wins. What are some early wins that kind of gave you guys the confidence you were onto something pretty special here?
When our customers realized that we could make the material for them a lot faster, and I'm talking by a factor of 4, cutting their lead times and much more consistent, which made their eyes bug out. I said, okay, this works. We thought we engineered it. We thought it would work. We tested it. We went to Europe to validate the equipment and everything. But when it really did come out the way it was supposed to and beyond, all right, we can make this happen really well. So much so that other large corporations said, okay, I'll give you a crack at it. You say you have some successes. Let's go and we'll do some more. And my feet hurt today yet from walking over this concrete all 24, 48, 72 hours or whatever it was to make one of our customers' products the way we were developing it, and making sure we had to modify the equipment to make what they needed. But it was the first time that one of our style of mills was able to generate product for them that they found to be superior to the way they had been making it in the past. And because of that, we still have their business today, 25 years later.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, so like Gregg said, I mean, the technology, it was top notch. I mean, we had the latest technology in our equipment, and we mentioned earlier that our processing efficiencies, were much better than expected. And what was unique to me, what gave me the confidence, is that we didn't just take off the shelf equipment and put it in our plant like anybody could possibly do. We used our previous experiences and our technical know-how, and we purchased different components of systems that would better match our model of what we wanted to accomplish. And so when we put this whole puzzle together, and it was our design, not our vendor's design, we just bought components. And when we put it all together and we saw the initial results that really benefited our customers, I mean, being able to offer better prices because of the throughput rates going through the equipment, faster turnarounds that Gregg mentioned, it was that point in time that I knew we were onto something special.
Great. So, let's go from, these wins to the evolution and growth of CPS. What are some turning points that allowed CPS to grow from a 2-person shop into a recognized toll manufacturer leader?
A little bit about what I said before with respect to the ability for the equipment to turn things out really well, fast, and consistently. Um, the customers recognize that. And with that, they gave us more products, or they turned us on large corporations to more divisions within that company to say, hey, these guys know how to do what they're doing here. Let's see what we can give them and continue on. Well, with Jeff working all night and me working all day, in the beginning, we had to bring a few more people on board, and hiring those first few people was a little nerve wracking because it's a responsibility of the people that we have that we bring on. We're not just bringing on another worker; we're bringing their entire family onto what we're doing. So we made sure that we did very well for the customer, so that we can do very well to keep our employees moving and going. And that we give them repeatable, good material. Sounds simple, very difficult if a lot of people try to do it. But that was a turning point. That consistency, that capability of us, and then bringing those first employees on to help us. Just well, then we're doing well here. Let's add another station because people are more and more equipment because more customers are asking us to do more. So it just kept putting more and more different pieces of equipment in because what we were doing worked. And that was some turning points that we realized we could add more capacity, leveraging our knowledge.
All right. And Jeff, what about you?
Yeah. So, you know, a few milestones and turning points that I think were really important to our growth is, you know, is new product development, being able to, you know, test our customers' materials for feasibility just isn't even possible. Um, we had an alliance with our equipment manufacturer, and they, in amongst themselves, were not able to turn around their product trials fast enough. So we created this alliance where they gave us all of their small scale test equipment, and we installed it in our facility. And so we agreed for a period of a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, to do free trials for them so they could sell equipment. In turn, we had all of this equipment available to us that was a real turning point for us because now we could really work with our customers with new product development with that equipment. And that was a huge turning point for us. We could turn trials around so fast and get products from feasibility all the way to commercialization. And when we started to do that, it was just endless amount of opportunities for us. Gregg mentioned earlier that the one customer that we had that we changed their cryogenic processing into our milling technologies was a game changer, right? So that was a huge, turning point for us. Gregg mentioned that we were able to add capacity and having good relationships with our bankers, giving us the capital to grow. I think it was Gregg. I'm not sure. I think you were in my office one day, and we're looking across the street, and a for sale sign went where one Birchmont was, and we had just purchased our facility that we're currently in. We had a lease purchase early on, and we bought that after like year 3 or whatever. And I think year 5, we were looking across the street, and Gregg says, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" I said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Next thing you know, we bought it. So we bought that building. We filled it up in I don't know how many months. 6 months, Gregg, something like that.
6 months.
So that was a turning point for us. And then in 2007, we bought our East Greenville facility, which had a rail siding, and that opened up a whole nother opportunity for us in coarse processing that we didn't have in Reading. And then I think 2009 was another turning point where we launched some wet milling, wet milling department, and then 2011 we built our pharmaceutical facility. So these are all big turning points that that I can think of where we are today.
Oh, absolutely. And technology is changing fast, and So how do you think you guys see these advancements and inform your business decisions and capabilities to best serve our customers here at CPS?
The technology surrounding our core equipment has been changing pretty fast, but we have found that our very robust, very commercializable core equipment we still have. We've made changes to them. We brought advancements in classifying technology. We brought advancements in how we compress the air to make it more efficient. But a lot of our other advances have been with the associated equipment that goes with it, the pre-milling and the post-milling equipment, the packaging, the feeding, the handling, and the PLC upgrades that we've been doing have all been our ability to capture the technologies that have been happening and continuing to include them in what we do. There's a lot of people that can think about maybe processing in a theoretical sense, but I'll challenge anybody to show how we put it like Jeff mentioned earlier, the whole process from front to back together and the improvements we've made. And even the improvements we made to today makes the equipment we put in 25 years ago look ancient. But that ancient equipment was incredible and still is today. 25 years ago, I'll challenge anybody to do as well as we did, and we've advanced it even more.
That's what we do, right? We have an engineering approach to everything that we process. So all of these advanced technologies that we seek out and that we try to implement in our processes, I mean, we do it across all processes and all industries, and it enhances efficiencies, it enhances product quality. And we do all of this to meet our evolving customer demands. I mean, there's a lot of demands with the customers, and we need to keep up with this technology. I mean, innovations in just size reduction alone and nanotechnology and other advanced process controls have created new capabilities for our customers that can directly influence strategic business decisions and our customers' market positioning. I mean, just a lot like in the pharmaceutical area, technologies have allowed for enhanced bioavailability and precision drug delivery with consistent product quality. In our food and beverage area, our customers are telling us that how we process their materials are enhancing their sensory experiences, and it improves product stability and shelf life and creates better nutrient absorption. In our chemicals and materials, the increased reactivity and efficiencies to create superior product qualities and sustainable and cost controls through these technologies is extremely important. And last but not least, what drives is the fuel of our company is our new product development and innovation. With these newer and advanced technologies, we can assist our customers develop entirely new product lines that were not capable in the past. And so, advanced technology is very important for the growth of our business.
Yeah, and Jeff, you kind of are going into my next question here. So compared to 5 to 10 years ago, what types of shifts have you noticed in what customers need from CPS?
Well, I think the customers, some of the shifts, their demands are much greater than they have been in the past. I mean, for instance, inventory control is extremely important to them. I mean, we've had to add, and improve our ERP systems in order to keep up with the customer demands. With the evolution of technologies, customers are requiring tighter product distributions. And this is forcing us to look at our processes, and in many cases requires multi-step processing to get an end result. But we're able to accommodate this with their growing demand. So I would say those two areas are likely the most that are the biggest demands that our customers are requiring from us right now. And of course, to go with is inventory control is really important as well for them.
to build on that, they're looking for us to be not just a supplier of the goods that they need and the bringing something to market very fast and having the quality and all. That's still there, but they're looking for a processing partner and to all the things that Jeff was talking about, from inventory control to quality control to advancements on particle characterization and everything that we can give them. We're working step in step with them to develop and improve products that they have and still bring their new products to market faster.
So, kind of speaking on change, let's go into the culture and the people here at CPS. So, how did your philosophy on leadership and management evolve as CPS grew?
Well, when there's only two of you, it evolves that you start as an entrepreneur. So if that's your management style, you know how you have to get something done and move it along. But we could not have gotten to the level today without us bringing on good managers, taking that hat off and handing them to the individuals that we have. So going from an entrepreneur to corporate management and leadership versus a doing type of a management style it's very difficult for a lot of entrepreneurs to do that, and that is another thing that people have pointed out to us, that very few companies have been able to do that, and I'm very proud of what Jeff and I have been able to accomplish there.
Gregg, when we decided, I think maybe 10 years into being in business, and we have a lot more people working for us. We have shift supervisors, we have departmental leaders. We decided to create a work of leaders program. We brought somebody in from the outside to go through a program with us, where I think we had 18 of us that we went through a 6-week program. And it was called Work of Leaders, and we developed the company vision. We developed the mission, and most importantly, the whole team created the company core values. Right, so I think that was a big first step on, how we sort of changed our philosophy from, say, entrepreneurial to, leadership and management of those folks, right? So you had to make sure you had the vision, the mission, the core values established. And so everything was centered off those core values.
So you both have often said to grow the business, you need to grow the people. And I'm living proof of that, as I've held several positions here within CPS as my capabilities and interests expanded. So can you share how investing in individuals has shaped the team-based culture here at CPS?
Investing in our people has built trust and loyalty. And by doing that, it also creates a shared ownership. And by enforcing our core values with our people, it obviously increases engagement, it drives continuous improvement, and it really keeps us all focused toward the same overall goals.
Yeah, our investing into people means investing in making sure that their home life is good as well. So that's where we invest in as many proper benefits as we can properly do it. Jeff and I are on the same benefits and plans that all of our employees are on. So we would make sure that what should be good for us should be good for everybody else, and we can keep a pulse on that. But also in training, there's a lot of external training we can provide. Other times we bring in people to work shoulder to shoulder with us to train in the accounting department, or train in the safety area, or train all the individuals in the supervisory capacities that they've got. That was important. And then the last part is it's the realization that everything that Jeff and I have learned and developed and as entrepreneurs over the years needs to be shared also. So that reinvestment in just sharing ourselves with everybody in the corporation is important to keep things moving.
So how does that people first approach play into your developing your team and growing the business?
People first approach, number one, Gregg and I said if we have 170 employees, we have 170 families to support, right? So we don't look at it as just an individual. We look at it as an entire family. So that people first approach is important because it influences employee development. And if you have good employee development, you have good business growth at the same time, because it creates a virtuous cycle where investment in employees does lead to, we mentioned it earlier, increased engagement, higher productivity, stronger retention. I mean, and we use these as our KPIs. We look at this, on a weekly basis to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. And, it really does start with our core values. For us, this is our strategic advantage that cultivates talent from within and builds a resilient culture, and it fuels a sustainable long-term business that we have.
We try to give the employees a little bit of the freedom that they need, the rope that they need to carry out the job in ways that Jeff and I may not have thought about that could be very much better. So that's the teamwork approach to our core values, which is core to us as a corporation. Sometimes those ideas work, sometimes they don't. But there are some things that I'm always amazed about that people come up with that Jeff and I never thought about. Yeah, that's going to be a better way to go do something. Let's make it happen. And that's listening to the employees is what allows us to grow and get better.
Let's go a little bit into industries and our customers. CPS serves a wide range of industries, and we kind of spoke a little bit on this earlier. There's pharmaceuticals, there's food, chemicals, inks, and so much more. So I'm kind of curious to know, which industries do you feel push CPS to innovate the most?
The innovation across all aspects was first in safety, making sure, I don't care which industry it was making sure that we handle things properly and correctly. But as we, the biggest jump that I can think is within the pharmaceutical type of industry, where instead of just rearranging the particle shapes, sizes, colors, and such, where we started to pull molecules out and separate them, was a real big change and really forced us to innovate how we could continue processing. That's our middle name, in a proper way that people never thought of. That's where they're coming to us. They come to us for those answers. Another one was again, in the food and pharma area, where we came up with ways to separate proteins from plant fibers. And we still own that technology today. And that's because we've been challenged, we innovated, and we moved forward. But there was a lot of innovation everywhere across all aspects. But those were two that just came to mind.
Those two that Gregg mentioned were certainly key, that I think really has changed the industry somewhat. I mean, one of the things that we were able to accomplish in the pharmaceutical area is, most pharmaceutical excipients are produced on much smaller commercialized jet milling equipment that doesn't have the technologies that we have. So we installed our technology that is capable of processing at very high volumes, not in smaller, typical, size reduction equipment. We put in large-scale production equipment that enabled the industry to produce at a much higher volume, cut down lead times. It enabled more strategic pricing. So I do think that how we process and the type of equipment and the size of the equipment we put in really affected the industry so far.
You guys have brought up it many times. CPS has customer partnerships that span decades, which is amazing. So what does it take to earn and keep that level of loyalty from these customers?
We strive to achieve lifelong customer partnerships. And we do that by building trust through a combination of operational excellence, strategic alignment, deep relationship management, and of course strict adherence to our core values. I mean, we're constantly tracking performance, right? We have different KPIs. They're a little bit different for depending on the customer, what's important to them. So we have quarterly meetings with our customers reviewing these KPIs. Where can we be successful? Where are we successful, and where can we improve? So, this is very important. We track on-time availability, product quality, safety, all of these things, inventory accuracy. This creates a peace of mind for our customers, and honestly, that's priceless, right? You don't want our customers to have to worry if we're actually going to deliver. We've created decades-long partnerships by becoming more than just a vendor. We have become an extension of our customers' operations, and we've always said that was the biggest key. Let's be an extension of their business, and that really creates, long-term customers.
And how do you create that extension? Is a customer will keep calling you up if you're able to solve their problems, and like Jeff said, uh, carry them out commercially viably. But if somebody our very first customer called us up because he said, I think you guys know what you're doing with respect to the materials that I process. Can you continue to do more? And even up till today, it's like, you guys still do this the best. I don't know it. Can you help me out? Yes, we can help you out. Of course, we're going to work with you to make sure your next idea becomes as commercially viable as all the other ideas you've had. And that's why people keep coming back. They know that it can get done right the first time and quickly.
Yeah, when our expertise reduces their headaches, we create customer stickiness, and we create loyalty when we help them win their customers. We do that through new product development and just overall customer-facing service personnel. That's how you retain your customers long term.
That's great. So, looking back, is there anything you guys would have done differently in the early days?
Not too much, because Jeff and I really did put a plan together to look out maybe 10 years. So are the early days 10 years now? Geez, it sounds like it was. The only thing we have maybe in later years or in middle years is develop more programs like EOS and implement them now. We looked at each other the other day, said we should have done this years ago. That would be our only regret. But we still persevered. We still did a good job building our company.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Gregg. Maybe the early days, maybe we wouldn't have done so much differently. But as we got into the middle of it, maybe 8, 10, 12 years into it, I would say that maybe I would have tried to focus a little bit more on strategic big picture processes from the outset, such as what Gregg said, like an EOS type program, rather than getting caught up in the immediate production demands. Building scalable internal systems sooner. We have them now, but I would have liked to have done that sooner to keep up with our fast growing business, and to remove some of the chaos. But, we are where we are.
Exactly. So let's turn it the other way. Let's look ahead. What excites you guys most about the next chapter for CPS?
Looking at the customers that have been coming to us with bigger projects, ones that would not start off and do a couple of truckloads of material, but trainloads of material that they have with a different process. That's pretty cool, because it's not just one component of what we do. It's not just a blending, or it's not just a grinding, or it's not just a reaction. It might be all of them put together, and all of that knowledge that we have built in individual types of processing that we can combine into new processes for new markets and new materials for new markets. I see us as going very far in doing items like that. We can be doing a lot more materials with the technologies that we've found over the years, and finding ways to combine them to a point where it's very scalable. The quality is incredible, and the price is very commercializable.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything Gregg said is, that's big picture stuff, right? So when you're looking ahead, you have to think big picture. Um, Recently, our leadership team, we just finished our 1, 3, 10 year plans. We're sort of kind of in the middle of it, but we've done a lot of the work already, and I'm excited about the prospect of the strategic evolution. I'm excited about to integrate advanced technologies, including AI. I mean, AI is just starting, right? There's going to be so many ways to integrate AI, not only into the management of our business, but into our processing equipment as well, and how we control different aspects. So I look forward to that. And I look forward to that to leverage our company's proven success for expansion. And we have talked about, and in our 10-year plans is the acquisition of companies that specialize in services that we do not currently offer, that we know our customers could really use. And so I'm excited to, finish putting together that 1, 3, 10-year plan that really does include ultimately the acquisition of those specialized services. So that's what I see in the future that I'm excited about.
So, last question. What legacy do you hope CPS will leave behind, 25 years from now?
That these guys were really, this company, these folks were really known for being as the go-to company for all processing solutions. You, if we're known as that in the future, wherever you are in the globe, go to custom processing services for your needs. That's going to be really cool, and it'd be the first one they think about. That would be a legacy.
Yeah, that's really important. I concur that as well. Um, you know, I also would like to think that our legacy is being a pillar within the community for local job creation, and that we have built a people centric workplace and having the reputation, of a gold standard partner to our customers, right? So I think that, from a legacy standpoint, if we're able to achieve that at a higher level, that would be a wonderful thing.
Great. So, thanks for taking the time to tell us CPS's story and celebrate 25 years with us, Jeff and Gregg. And congratulations, and here's to 25 more.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone for tuning into this month's Custom Processing Toll Manufacturer Minute. To learn more about how CPS can help reach your goals, just reach out to us at any time. And be sure to subscribe to CPS's blog to rewatch or catch up on podcast episodes and get the latest news and insights from our experts. And we'll catch you next time.